Welcome to part 2 of our 4-part series, Saving for School. Today we're actually talking about how much do you need to save and sock away so that your kid will be able to afford to go to school. For any student that's entering into the university world right now as of 2013, their entire university education on average is going to be about $60,000. That's including tuition and lodging, not spending money at the bar. What about 17 years from now for all the babies being born this year? Well, if we were to take that number of 60 grand and inflate it at 3% per year over the next 18 years, that means that the cost of a university education in 18 years is going to be like $100,000 per child. Oh, yikes! So $100,000 seems like a terrifying amount. That's about $40,000 for the tuition for the 4-year degree and about $60,000 for all the lodging costs that are associated with sending your child off to school. But don't panic, there's still time. So my first tip to combat rising tuition rates is to start early. The earlier you start, the easier it is. If you start when your child is just a baby, it gives you 18 years to be contributing to an RESP so that you can maximize the grants and maximize your savings. So I worked it out. If you were to put away the $2,500 every single year, like we talked about in episode 1 of this series, you'd maximize the grants, and at 5% rate of return over the 18 years, you'd have $80,000 in there for your child to actually use when they go to school. And for that remainder $20,000, tell them to get a part-time job. So tip number 2 is to take advantage of the government incentives programs. And we spent a lot of time on that in episode 1, just making sure that you're putting away enough money to get the maximum amount of Canadian educational savings grants because it's free money. So tip number 3 is a mix between keeping perspective and talking to your kids early about school and what they can expect. Communicate with your kids when they're in high school. Let them know exactly what they can expect from the RESP, what you've got on the table, and how much help you're actually willing to give. This way, they know from an early age when they can start working how much that they're expected to pay for school themselves, because then they can use things like summer jobs, part-time jobs to start socking away money if they're able to find employment. And also, they know in advance what it is that's on the table, and they can plan around that rather than it being a surprise. And what I mean by keeping perspective is that it's not solely up to you to pay for the child's education. There are lots of different funding programs and aid programs that they can also use themselves. So just do the best that you can and just communicate with your kids the whole way through so that they know too. There are lots of ways that you can make your education not cost $100,000 if you don't have it. Things like living at home and commuting to campus and all that stuff. So for more ideas, tune in next week. I'm going to be talking about ways to keep your school costs down once you're already enrolled in post-secondary education. So you should tune in if you think $100,000 spent on education is worth it. And you should definitely tune in if you think it's not.